we just want to like dive in and like get after it. And sometimes we have to sit on our hands a little bit and do some hard work before we really get into goal setting. And so what I like to do is, number one, look at like, and I'm just going to talk in terms of business, but you can do this in your greater life. But in terms of business, thinking about like your Juice Plus business, what's going really well, and celebrating the successes, because too often we get sucked into what we're not doing well or what we want to do better. And you need to celebrate the successes and really take time writing down what is going well in your business. And if you were to do this like holistically, then I would say what's going well in your life. And you would look at business as a piece of that, but also look at your family and your faith and what you're doing for fun, vacations, financially, what's happening in your world. So what's going good in all of those areas. But just for tonight, I want to focus in on the career aspect or the work aspect of it. And so once we figure out what's going well, then it kind of positions our mind into what do we want for the future? So in 12 months from now, it's next almost July. And, looking at that, what, if things were perfect, what would you want happening in your career or in your job 12 months from now? So what would you want if things were perfect? And it's important for you to really dream there. So when we're thinking about our business, and I'm going to just talk in terms of Juice Plus, if things were perfect, like with your customers, what would that look like? Or maybe it's your customer care. Maybe it's, events and things that you're doing for customers. If things were perfect, what would it look like for customer acquisition? So what are you doing to obtain new customers? What does it look like in terms of your team? Like, what is the structure of your team? What would you like that to look like? And taking that a step further, what is it that you're doing as a leader for your team? Things that you want to put in place if things were perfect. Looking at your Juice Plus business too, I think it's important that we look at our own health and our own well-being when it comes to our business. So, what's your health look like? Because if you're raggedy, ain't nobody wanting to sign up with you. So you need to take a look at yourself too. So if all those things are perfect, what does that look like? And spend some time really dreaming and thinking of that. And a big piece of that is, if things were perfect in 12 months, I want to talk money. Like, what does your Juice Plus income look like? What is that dollar amount that you're getting in your Juice Plus check? And what are you using that money for if things were perfect? Is that making sense so far? Okay, stop me or just holler, because I get on a roll and I get excited about this stuff. So now that we have like all of this lined out, and I'm going to really urge you to spend some time digging in here. And what your brain is going to want to do is it's going to want to stop you. It's going to want to say, oh, you're going to put that dollar amount down. It's going to go, oh, you can't do that. Well, we're going to shut that up. We're going to shut it up. We're going to lock it up. We're going to tape it up, and we're going to put that number down, because that's what you want to achieve. This is your dream. So this is where you put down everything. Okay. And then the next piece, and this is important. Now we need to look at what's going to get in the way of you accomplishing each one of those dreams. And this is where you really, I always say, your life better than anyone else. And so be honest with yourself. Obviously, if you are going to get in your own way, if your head is going to get in your own way, you need to write that down. And what does that mean? It's your self-talk, or it's your, sabotaging yourself. You get so close and then you do something, to sabotage yourself. You know what I'm talking about? So, and I do it too. I do it too. So what's going to get in the way of you accomplishing those goals? And it might be a little scary place for you to be. It might make your armpits sweat to write down some of this stuff, and you need to. Because the next piece of this is, now we're going to look at all those things that make your armpits sweat and we're going to figure out what, they're all important. They're all super important. So what you're about to do doesn't discount the importance of anything, but you've got to look at things and you can only focus on one thing at a time. So where do you want to spend your energy first? It's the one that you just want to tackle first. There's no right or wrong reason or answer here. So where do you want to focus first? And then when you look at that obstacle, digging deeper now, and this is, you're writing all of this down, you're journaling all of this. What is it about that obstacle that really concerns you the most, that worries you the most? And why is that? And take yourself there. If that happens, what is the impact going to be on you? What's the impact going to be on your Juice Plus business? What's the impact going to be for your family, your team, your friends, if that were to play out? And then reverse it. If that doesn't happen, if you have a plan in place, what does your Juice Plus business look like now? What does that look like for your family and your friends and your team? So you're going to play it out both ways. If it does happen and if it doesn't, and if you can make a plan for it. And then the next piece, this is where we wanted to be in the first place. And that's, how do we take care of this? What steps are we going to put into place? What actions are we going to put into place to start overcoming this big, scary thing? And when you figure out some of those steps, now it's time to really put that into a goal. Do you see how I came about to the goal? Now it means something to you because we've gone through this process. And the coolest thing about this is that you are going to do this for every single thing. So you have all your dreams, and then you have all of your things that could get in the way. We're going to go through this process for each one of those things. So what do you think happens as you start tackling these things? It frees up some space. You start checking things off. And what I have found is that when you start tackling one thing, it spills over into the other areas. So as you're taking care of one thing, you may take care of another in the process. Does that make sense? So now when we figure out, okay, I need to make a goal for this. Here's where you really get busy. You need to make a SMART goal. And I know a lot of you have heard of SMART goals before. It's nothing new. It's out there in the business world. And SMART just stands for a goal that's very specific. It's not vague, like I want to lose weight is vague. I want to lose 10 pounds by July 30th is not vague. So your goal has to be specific. It has to be measurable. So you have to know whether or not you are going to hit it or how you're going to hit it. It has to be attainable. So putting a goal out there that's so out of reach, that's not going to do you any good. So it has to be attainable. And it also has to be realistic, and it has to be a little bit of a reach. So, putting a goal out there okay, I want to lose 2 pounds by, the end of July. And I mean, for most people, you could tackle that, obviously way, way sooner than like 30 days. So, and I just threw out like a weight thing because it's easier for us to like think through those types of goals. So it has to be realistic. It has to be a reach. And the last thing is that it really needs to be truthful. So do you really want this goal? Does it really mean something to you? And a lot of times we don't achieve our goals. It's because we've been given a goal, or we just think that we should be doing something and it's not really truthful. There's no heart in it. And just subconsciously, we're not going to go for it if it doesn't really mean something. It doesn't touch your heart. So it needs to be truthful. So once we have that goal, then this is where we get to dig and have fun here. Why is it that you really want this goal? And this is where I coach people to write down at least 10 reasons why. And this is where you're digging, and again, I'm going to go back to the weight loss goal because it's easier for us to relate to. But, if you're writing down, well, I want to lose this weight because I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to get rid of the clothes in my closet. I want to go buy some new black pants. That's awesome. That's great. Yet that's not good enough. And I use this example a lot because it happened to a woman I was coaching. And it was a weight loss goal, and she did all the surfacey things. And then it came down to going down the slide, being able to physically go down the slide with a child. And that made her cry because she wasn't thin enough to fit down the slide with the child. And so now I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. So when you get to those reasons that really tug at your heartstrings, now I coach people to like take those little Post-it notepads, and you write down on the Post-it notepad that reason. And you write it down maybe 20 times, and you've got a whole Post-it notepad filled with this. And you stick it on your bathroom mirror, you stick it in your car, you stick it on your notebook, you stick it everywhere. Because when the going gets tough, and it will, and when you want to give up, because there'll be those times, you look back at that sticky note. And because you did the hard work and you dug deep, when you see that, it's going to trigger, oh, you know what? I'm not going to eat that chocolate cake with the raspberry sauce. I'm going to skip that because my goal means more to me than that immediate gratification, right? So once we get that done, now we get to start looking at, okay, what steps, what things do I need to start doing, and by when? And this is where, okay, part of my weight loss goal is exercise, a new exercise program. Well, I joined a Couch to 5K program, and that was awesome. Okay, so I signed up for that. Well, now what's my next thing that I need to do, and by when? Well, I don't have any running shoes, and I need running shoes, good ones, that I get fitted for. Okay, when do I need to do that by? I need to buy some good socks. I said this last night. I'm like, all of you runners out there, if you're running in cotton socks, you're going to get blisters and you're going to cry. So you need to get good socks. The next thing, I need a running partner because I don't want to do this alone. I can, but I don't want to. I need a running partner. Now I need a running schedule. I need to figure out what days I'm going to run and what time of day I'm going to run. Do you see how detailed I'm getting? So this is like your action plan and by when. Now, it's important too that you're able to measure your progress of your goal. So that's the next big piece is what is it that you're doing to measure your progress and to track your progress? And for some people like Sherry, she's awesome with spreadsheets and electronic stuff. She's awesome at that. Other people, like I love paper. And so I've got a paper calendar and I like to write on it and I like to check stuff off. I like to make lists and I even make a list of stuff that I've already done just so I can check it off. And I can cross through it. So that's me. But whatever works for you is great. A big piece of this is an accountability buddy, an accountability partner. And this is where, you look at your phone and you look at your contacts and you choose somebody that is really going to be 100 honest with you and that is going to hold you accountable. And after the January event, I had a friend of mine who asked me to be her accountability partner. I said, "Are you sure?" Because I'm a good one. And she had some health goals that she wanted to hit. And so we did a lot of voxing, back and forth. And I checked in with her, but I told her, and this is the key, it's her responsibility to check in with me. So I'm putting it on her as an accountability partner. You've got to own that. And so you've got to check in with that person, and they have to have permission to be able to call you out too in a loving way. I tell this story too. As you're going through this and you're going through life, there are people who make you feel good, and there are people who build you up, and there are people that you trust. And then there are people that, don't make you feel good. I would choose the people that you trust, people that are like in your inner circle. I would choose those people. One thing that you have to be careful of as you're choosing these goals is, who you tell them to. And obviously we all have like those trusted people in our lives, like our husbands or family members, or maybe a best friend. I tell this story too when I coach about the crab in the bucket. And if you're walking along the beach and you're collecting crabs, let's say I get this crab and I put it in the bucket, its natural instinct is to what? To crawl out. It wants to crawl out. Well, I'm going to shove that crab back down into that bucket, and it's going to stay because that's my objective, to collect crabs. So I walk down the beach and I find another crab and I put that crab in the bucket. Well, what's it going to try to do? Climb out. Except this time I don't have to shove it down, because the crab that's already down there grabs it and pulls it down. So as you're looking at your goal and your accountability partners and the people that you tell this to, make sure you know who the crabs in your bucket are. And sometimes, sometimes there are people that we live with. So that looks like I'm going still with my weight loss goal. That might be my husband, right? And I've told him this, and I'm going out and I want to run, and it's kind of sprinkling out, and it's early because I'm meeting, my running partner at 5:30, and she cancels on me. Do I go? Do I not go? And then that crab in the bucket says, don't go. It's warm. It's cozy. Don't get up. Don't go. Let's go get donuts. That's the crab in the bucket. The crab in the bucket may love you, but they also may sabotage you. So you've got to really pay attention to who those people are. If you're in a work setting, that looks like, the person across the hall or whatever that's like, let's go out to lunch. Let's go get us a burger. You don't care. It's all good. Just one. That's not going to hurt. That's a crab in the bucket. So make sure you recognize what that looks like. And then the last piece of achieving your goal, and this is important, it's figuring out what you're going to celebrate when you hit it. So what is your reward? And this is the fun part. And what's crazy? A lot of people that I coach, they have trouble figuring out what their reward's going to be, which I don't get that. I love me some rewards. So whatever that looks like, and maybe it's, the new pair of black pants, but it's designer black pants, where you go into the E. Allen store, that you walked by at the avenues for so long and you can't afford stuff in there. But now you're going to go in there and you've set your intention that you're buying a pair of pants from E. Allen because it's going to make you feel good, or wherever, that specialty store might be. Well, on the flip side, if you don't hit your goal, if you don't work through this, it's got to hurt a little bit, because psychologically what we do often is we set a goal, we don't hit the goal, we miss it, and we reward ourselves anyway. We go shopping anyway. We get the black pants anyway because we tried. Well, what does that do to your brain? It's no good. It's no good because you've just trained your brain that it's okay not to hit your goal. So now you go buy those black pants, but you give them away to a woman's shelter. Ooh, now that hurts a little bit. You're still doing some good in the world, but it still hurts a little bit. So there has to be a consequence to this. And that is like the full cycle of really achieving a goal that partners with your business. And you can see how this applies to everything in your life. This whole process is a great decision-making tool too. So if you've got something that you've been like weighing back and forth, should we move out of our house and buy a new house? This is a great decision-making tool as well. So it doesn't have to be just for like, a goal, I'm going to start here, finish here. So that in a nutshell is a quick overview of how to set a goal and achieve.
And it was awesome, as usual. So thank you very much. If you guys want to unmute yourselves, you all can do that. Let me stop recording.